Fighting games. Oh man, I love myself some fighting games and Sega Dreamcast. However, you know, when it comes to Dreamcast, there are many different ways to play, but let's say we're going to be combining the best of two worlds, having the Sega Dreamcast gaming pad. I think this is a very cool way to play because this is a very comfortable and a very awesome controller, simply because of the nice D-pad and the 6-button layout. But how are we going combining this? That we're going to be chit-chatting today about. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're going to be tuning in because it's going to be malfunction. Let's try it again. It's about total control. Yeah, you know, that's actually how this thing is called. Total Control 3. Don't know what happened with the other first two, but the thing is, this is a very interesting piece of equipment that you can buy on, I think most of the time, so on the places like eBay. So this is actually how you're going to be converting the Saturn controller to your Dreamcast. And this is a very interesting but very expensive. But what is also very cool about this, that when it comes to the product, we do have the option to actually have a controller, but also in VMU implemented. So you can have still the option to do a load and save. And there's even some extra cool options, which you can just see over there. So when it comes to this particular piece of equipment, it looks and feels kind of cheap when it comes to that. And it's interesting to see that this connection is slightly different when it comes to the color, but beside the point. So when it comes to this, we can connect ourselves the pad itself, and this is going to be a very cool way to play. So in this video we're going to be focusing on some fighting games, all kinds of cool games, with maybe the ultimate controller. But let's go and let's stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell. So let's start off with some Capcom vs SNK. This is, by the way, my first game I've ever played on the Sega Dreamcast back in the day. So I must say that I completely understand why people love this particular controller. But let's get into some gameplay and just do the full experience. Is this thing just the ultimate version that you can get? Okay, wait, I'm going to be choosing Turbo Guard. And let's get into some fighting. I love these intros. They are so freaking awesome. So, where I'm not like the professional fighter, but I love these freaking games. So let's see how it is with the D-pad. I am really a D-pad gamer, and I can really get why people love this controller. So what is interesting, that this D-pad itself does have like a very nice, let's say, resistance, but it is very, very responsive. And if you're going to be doing any moves, you can get all of your moves out without any problem whatsoever. Let's get into the vibe. I have a little bit of a handicap when it comes to this side of the game, but when it comes to playing with this controller, I do understand why they just love it. The comfortability of the shell, but also when it comes to the 6-button, I really find this one of my, let's say, overall better controllers to play with. But yeah, then is of course the question, do you really need something like this? Because we do pay a lot of money for the good quality controller. And particularly when you're going to be looking into the total control, because this thing is going to be needed for hooking this all up. But let's move to the next game. So when it comes to playing Street Fighter, I always love to play with Akuma Matata. But so it's actually the same kind of game, so in my opinion it doesn't really matter which game you're going to be playing when it comes to fighting games. But beside that, I just wanted to play a little bit of Street Fighter when it comes to this. I love the D-pad, it's very responsive, but I think it's most interesting is that when you're going to be looking at the D-pad and the construction of it. Because this is completely different than the original controller, but also the special fighting pad I've reviewed before. But I get my moves out so much faster. I'm getting my moves out without any problem whatsoever. So this thing is called Total Control 3. It's a kind of good name because indeed you have total control over the situation when it comes to the game itself. But let's do a quick side-by-side comparison. So the original controller, I must say that I find it a very pleasant controller to play with. If you have not too much wear and tear on the D-pad itself. You have this very strange floating D-pad with a long travel. But if you're getting into this particular controller for playing fighting games, I also can really enjoy myself. But how about if you're going to be actually playing? So this floating D-pad and the construction of the controller of the Sega Dreamcast, I freaking love it. Okay, so one thing I need to do is put the cable over there. But when you're going to be playing and you don't have too much wear and tear on the D-pad, I can tell you when I'm playing with this controller after a very long time, let's say I've been playing on the PlayStation 1 or 2, I'm going to be getting back into the Dreamcast, I just always flabbergasted how freaking comfortable this D-pad is. So when it comes to the construction being slightly different, I can still really enjoy playing fighting games with the original controller when it comes to that. But then is the question, do you really need that very expensive configuration with the Total Control 3? It depends. So first of all, I really love the 4 facing buttons going to be replaced with a 6 one over here, because with the original controller having the ones on the back, if you don't really care about that, which position they are, I think the original controller can be very nice. Where the construction of, let's say, the travel and everything is maybe something you really need to get used to, I love it, because this travel, you don't really notice it in game because of there's not, like in my opinion, any input lag or a delay because of the massive travel. Where when it comes to the construction, I think particularly when it comes to the D-pad itself, you can see we're having this floating D-pad configuration that's slightly different in my opinion than the normal, let's say, control I've been reviewing before, where the travel is different. I really love the form factor, and this thing is very comfortable. But I think if you need to have like 6 buttons at the front and you want to have like the ultimate fight pad, I think it's really worth it getting something like this. So regarding fighting pads, there is also another thing. You have the Capcom, let's say, in the SDK version, and yeah, this is another level. This is a very expensive one, and this is something, if you want to deep dive into the rabbit hole and you were thinking, hey, I want to have like the ultimate one, maybe this would be another great opportunity. I don't know which is going to be cheaper, to get yourself like an original good working Sega Saturn controller in combination with Total Control, or getting this particular one. But yeah, when you're going to be looking into, let's say, the D-pad, the construction, and this is something I just wanted to show, you can just actually see that the travel of the Saturn controller is so much different. Both are playing great. I did a full video about this one, you should check it out if you're interested in fight pads. But yeah, this was a very cool piece of retro equipment. But if you don't want to spend too much money and all the craziness, you can just have yourself like a Sega Dreamcast controller and have a lot of fun. I do feel in total control when it comes to this Sega Saturn combined with the Total Control 3. But is it really worth it? I think you need to ask yourself how much of a fighting game fan you are. Because you're going to be buying this particular controller with the Total Control 3. Yeah, if you maybe can find one of these things on the flea market or somewhere on the garage sale, it will be absolutely a no-brainer to pick it up. But if you need to pay like crazy amount of money, yeah, I think maybe in the future we can check out some other, let's say, aftermarket solutions that are like way cheaper. But with the Sega Saturn controller, we do have original Sega quality, and you can just feel it. Not the mold itself, but the way how this thing feels. And indeed, I am in control. I just loved playing fighting games with this particular controller. But we have many options. Let me know in the comments what kind of product or controller do you love to use on the Sega Dreamcast. And it will be great to see you in the next video.